Hey everybody, this is part two, and I brought this up because I think the market's going to resolve to the upside today, and we're at on the 15-minute chart, and this is a live trade. The target is just about to be hit. Before I go any further, first the required disclaimer. So it was touched but not filled, which kind of shows that the order needs to be traded through or hit in the queue before it's filled, if it's a limit order. So I'm going to let this trade and then proceed with the update on the rest of the systems that traded today. Okay, our first target was hit, and as I stated earlier, I think this is going to resolve to the upside as the bottom held here. This low is actually a higher low, and usually when you get 2, 3, 4 hits on a resistance level and it punches through, there's usually follow through. I'm also going by the fact that the bonds closed to the downside and there is a gap above the market that hasn't been filled. So the sentiment appears to be that it's going to rally to the upside. There's only 10 minutes left in trading, so let's see if there's short covering. Okay, so another observation here. The open of the day was 1938.75. If it gets above the open and into positive territory, chances are we'll get a pop. So let's see what happens. I do think it's going to pop. There are 8 minutes left in the session. So I'm going to bring over our 30-minute chart right now, and I want to show you a phenomena that I've observed, and that is basically that often the best place to buy and sell, usually early in the session, is the high of the night session or the low of the night session, as the market usually balances in the opposite direction. So here's a pretty good example of that today. The high of the night session being 41.75, and that is probably where the market is targeting. Whether that provides resistance remains to be seen, but it's definitely going for that level. This is the BWT volume profile indicator, and I have this kind of set up as our universal setup where you have the trend bars and then you have the volatility stop at a slightly less sensitive setting. So it kind of helps to avoid some whipsaws. But looking back on the chart, on the sell-off here, this shaded area was actually Sunday, but this was Monday, and the sell was at the high of the night session. Here, at the low of the night session, they actually bought the open here, and it went all the way up here and then closed off. And then this is today, the sell-off at the night session. Here's another example of selling the overnight session high. Here's the high of the night session, and it sold. Here's another example here on the 26th. The sell was at the high of the night session. Okay, back to our 15-minute chart, and since that bar closed, no, I'm sorry, it hasn't updated the P&L. It is going to bring over the control center. So here's the 15-minute chart here, and the realized P&L is 47.50. The unrealized is 13.50. It hasn't updated on the chart yet because the bar hasn't closed. I'm going to come back to this and update the profits for today, but again, my gut feelings have been pretty good today that the market was gunning for the first the open and then the high of the overnight session, which is where it's trading right now, is 41.75, is the overnight session high. So we'll probably see some resistance here, and if it busts through this, then it'll probably go some distance. There's only 3 minutes to the close. Bring over the data box here so you can see the date and the time. And here is our time in sales to confirm the time. And in the commotion of the final minutes, the trade was closed based on time at 4 o'clock Eastern. So you can see our P&L finally updated to finish at 21.62 on the E-mini S&P, and you saw how it executed there. Okay, so I'm just going to go over a recap of the action. The bonds, the 30-year Treasury bond on 2 trades closed the day at 18.43. 30-year Treasury note on the 6-tick Super Renko. The Russell on the Super Renko 5-tick closed the day at 15.60 on 2 contracts. The crude oil contract on the Super Renko 7-tick trading 2 contracts hit its $1,200 goal in a single trade. That lasted about 5 minutes. The crude oil on the Precision Renko 5-tick hit its goal of 1,600. And there was a few more, but rather than go through that, I'm going to bring over the control panel and show you today's winners and losers. Here is the Uni Renko chart on the crude oil, 1970 for the day. The 30-year Treasury bond on the 6-tick Super Renko, 1843.75. The crude oil on the Precision Renko, 1,600 on 2 contracts. The Russell on the 5-tick, 1560. The crude oil on the 7-tick hit its profit goal at 1,200. The bonds on the 7-tick did 593. The E-mini S&P on the 15-minute closed at 2162 on 3 contracts. The 10-year Treasury note did 312.50 on 2 contracts, and the Russell on the 4-tick Precision Renko did $150 and a modest gain of $80 on the Super Renko. The 5-tick. and then we had some modest size losers on the remaining charts. Okay, that's it for part 2 of this video. Again, you know how to contact us if you want to find out more. Thanks for watching.